Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Whether you're a seasoned pilot, training for a rating, or just thinking about getting started in aviation, we like to think of the podcast as your aviation companion and your weekly dose of aviation. My name is Ben, and I'm a pilot with an IFR rating and a commercial certificate based in the metro Atlanta area. I fly a Cessna 182, sometimes called the Beast, when she's working in proper order, which she is right now, knock on wood. Joining me tonight, my friend who is in the home of the Bachelorette Super Charlie. He flies a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. He's living in the heart of Music Row. It's our friend Brian. Good evening, sir.
How's it going, everybody? I wish that I wish I could say what you're saying about your plane, but we are optimistic that Lucy will be back soon.
Lucy will be back and better than ever. Also joining us tonight from the great state of Oregon, Portlandia, he flies a flight design CTLS we like to call the Egg. It's our friend Ted. Good evening, sir.
Hey there. Glad to be here. And just got the Egg back like an hour ago from its annual across the river. So I've logged 0.3 twice this week to take it to annual and back. And that's it. But let's
make a quick note of that. 0.3 in an annual done within a week. That's
and you know
not so shabby.
It was less money than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, of course.
I know. How can you
rub a little
complain
salt on
about
the
that?
wound?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Our annual was everything looks great, no major fixes, nothing really to do. Put the plane back all together. Now we got misfires.
And now nothing works.
And now we're chasing down things. And it's an annual that could have been done in a day that's going on in a month and a half or something. So
yeah, I hate it for you, man. I do. I didn't get to fly much this week, but I do have a pretty big trip leaving tomorrow morning, heading down to South Georgia land. And it's for work, but it's nice when you can commute by air. So
tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful down around here.
A little windy where I'm going, but that's okay. I can live with it.
That's right.
Beggars can't be choosers.
No.
Yeah. So I saw that the Egg was up in the air on the Creeper bot in our Discord server, which for our listeners out there, if you do join us on Patreon, you get access to this wonderful server. And if you choose, this is not mandatory, but if you choose, you can have your name put into the Creeper bot so everybody knows what you're doing and where you're going.
It's a little bit more it's not really that. I mean,
it's not.
It's okay. It's a gateway to that, but we are not. We are Ted, you're the resident genius that made all this happen. But yeah, so the Creeper bot, we have a channel where it just automatically, whenever you show up in ADSB, it will say, what does it say? It basically says, Ben's 182 is
nickname the Beast.
Beast. Departed or whatever is flying.
It just says it's flying on a 243 heading, squawking. 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever.
And a speed, which is kind of my favorite part because I added the speed later, and it is kind of fun to see. It's like, oh no, it's an SR-22 in there now.
I saw something on Instagram where people were had FlightAware pulled up on their TV, and it was a friend of theirs at their check ride. And I can't remember what they said at the bottom, but it was basically, it's like a spectator show of somebody's check ride. And they're like, oh, look at that steep turn. Or, they're just kind of commentating on the guy's check ride as it's going on. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That'll be the next edition, Ted, right?
Yeah.
Where we can stream that to our TVs live straight from our Discord.
We can give an analysis of it. It's like, Flysto right in Discord.
Yeah, real time.
Right. I
Brian
believe Alpha
didn't land
Juliet
well.
has a check ride coming up, so I can get the tail
Ooh.
number. Maybe we could do a test run with him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Brian, why don't we, we got one announcement, and that's really the same announcement we've had over the last 3 months, and that's our Big Texas Big Send fly-in. Big Texas Send, I think is how we're formally calling it.
It's the Big Texas Send.
May 2nd through the 4th at Gillespie County Airport in Fredericksburg, Texas. Tango 82 is the ICAO code for it. We're going to be there Friday to Sunday. Lots of stuff going on. The airport's having a big open house. We're going to record a live podcast there. We're going to hang out. We're going to, I think we're just going to have a good time.
We've been doing a bit of work on the back end, chasing down questions and making sure everything's taken care of. And as a PSA, one of the things we did is we're trying to figure out the issue or the deal with parking. And Saturday's going to be busy. We go to the north ramp, all of that. I had made a map out of a screenshot of Google Earth. And in the time from when I made that until now, Google Satellite View is updated. And it shows the new parking at the airport because they have just this wonderful row of T-striped parking. But the PSA of this is they've got great tie downs or great holes to put a tie down in, no ropes. So bring your own tie down rope. If you're bringing your plane, make sure you have a way to tie down.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Bring your own ropes or ratchet straps or whatever you use to secure your airplane.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that, and so can you remind people again, Ted, about why parking is important for this event and what calamity we're trying to avoid?
Sure. Well, parking is important because you can't always have your plane in the air. So sometimes you need to put it on the ground. And if there's a space for it to, that's not what you meant, huh?
No.
So there is a series of events at the airport. There is a airport open house, static displays, Vietnam traveling wall memorial. Basically, all the things that could happen are happening on Saturday at the airport. So we can still be there, but our planes can't be on the main ramp. The north ramp is just as big as the main ramp, and that's where we've been told to be. And so our assumption is we'll just move our planes Friday night. Then we don't have to worry about it. And they're out of the way.
Yeah, I traded emails with the airport manager. Seems like a really nice guy, and he does know we're coming. Just so you know, that's an important step. But he is. He said, dropping your stuff off if you're staying at the hangar hotel, and then moving your plane afterwards because it's a little bit of a distance between the north ramp and where the hotel is. So, sure that we can work through that. We'll be set up Friday. We'll have a table out front, probably in front of the FBO or the hotel. I'm not sure exactly where, but they're right there together. And come by, say hello. We've got goodies, I think.
Yep.
And should be a lot of fun.
Well, and I just want to give a special shout out to our friend One Dull Geek, who's been helping us along with everybody that you're looking at or hearing right now. It's been a lot of hustle to get all this pulled together. And it will not show necessarily. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like you're going to get there and be like, God, who put up all these laser lights? Or it's not going to be anything like that. But if people show up and have a good time, then we have been successful. But it is, even with it being the reason why we chose this location was so much based on the idea that there's a hotel on the field, that there's a diner on the field, that there's some resources on the field, and town is very close by with a lot of resources and places to stay and all of that. And that was really that was really the impetus for looking at Fredericksburg. Also, we just hadn't been that far west yet with one of our events, and so we just thought, let's try it. All that to be said, as simple and sort of included as all these things are, you're also up against, everybody else wants to utilize this place because it's awesome too, in the best time of year.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. So everybody just be patient. And, I look at it as like, it'll just feel more festive and interesting because there's other things going on.
Yeah.
And that we can kind of go check out or be a part of, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I think it's going to be cool, but I'm especially excited about recording the live episode on Saturday at the Tac Arrow Hangar. That'll be 4 p.m. And, right now we've got everything pretty much worked out except for all of the things. But we're working the background right now to get all the technical pieces together. We realized people probably are going to need to be able to hear us. So we're working on there's apparently some technology now where there's basically big magnets and then they have these cones and then you send a signal into them and then they amplify it out. It's the sound waves are invisible. You can't see them, but you can hear it. That's what we're working on, PA system.
I don't know. This doesn't
sound
sound real.
go with that.
Yeah.
And Wendy, I'm not saying that there won't be a disco ball, a red carpet, ice sculptures, or a photo booth, but sometimes there's just surprises out there. So you just never know.
Set your sights much lower than that, but yes, it's
all of those things just on keychains.
Yeah, as Checkmate Barry says, controlled chaos, and that's the goal. Is we're working on the controlled part of that chaos. So one other thing we learned this week is that the side of the runway, it would be the west side of the runway, is a legal grass landing surface, and the ASOS, I never remember. The ASOS even says basically don't land on it if there's somebody on the other surface. They kind of count as one runway. I'm kind of waiting for a PIREP of what the condition is of it, but if it's in decent shape, I'm definitely just landing on grass there. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Brian, how about some belly scrubbing?
All right, let's get to the belly scrub. And I feel weird every time you say that, but I like it.
Well, you come up with another name
shirt.
for it, brother, and I'll call you out on it.
It is just the thing that we all have to do. Okay, we're grateful for you all making this the best pilot community we know of, a positive space where we share everything from training experiences, share personal minimums, tackle ownership challenges, review flight plans, and best of all, make new aviation friends or stalk them on the Creeper bot. Connect with us. Join our Patreon community from $1 a month or do a one-time annual Patreon, 25 cents per episode. Access exclusive content, including a vast amount of check ride debriefs. Those are just coming in all the time. Really interesting, full debriefs with members. Exclusive content, including Killing Zone conversations and more, all through Discord and Patreon. 10% supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. Watch us live on YouTube, Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Share your stories with us, midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com. We read all the messages, and you might even hear yours on the show. And by the way, please leave a 5-star review on Apple. We always forget to tell people that because I don't have it written down here. But it really helps. And also just the OCD part of me is, I think the last time I looked at it about a week ago, we were at 99 reviews. And so I should go check it now. Maybe we've got 100 by now, but somebody's going to fix that. Just please. So, for everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, community feedback, merch, and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Wow. What's been going on in the community, Ted?
Yeah. Well, first I've got to highlight Alpha Juliet's comment. Got to make sure this is belly scrub, not belly rub, but whatever. We're all friends here. Community. We've got some new people that joined us on Patreon. At the Landomatic level, we have Chad L. and Jonathan G. At the Hershey Bar level, we have Tim C. In the PDK area, and Matt M. So thank you all for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
In Discord, I kind of wrote down 2 big topics. The first was there was this big debate about oil changes and filters and how you drain the filter. And I am not even reading it. I just TLDR'd the whole thing. Huge thread. Great. Have the discussion. Not for me. By the way,
go ahead.
Well, I got to interrupt you here. I'm sorry. We drink every time Ben says Apalachicola. We drink every time I say tail wheel.
Yeah.
We drink every time Ted says diapers.
Ooh. And I am not going to say what that's about. I'll have to go to another episode for that to make sense.
No. You should explain that in the context of the oil change discussion.
Yes. So every time people talk about oil changes and starting to do them the first time, I tell them, get a pack of diapers. When you change your oil filter, you use a diaper to spin it off. It catches all that oil that comes out of the filter and usually drains all over the engine. So I've been doing that for a lot of years on motorcycles, cars, now airplanes. Works really well. Used to be that I'd have friends that had babies and I'd just borrow a few, steal a few, I guess, and give them back.
The diapers, not the babies, correct?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
either way. But now it's like, I guess I'm too old. So I have to actually, I bought diapers to take to the hangar. Go figure.
Gotcha.
So yeah, oil changes and filters discussion. Also, we have a new channel for flight sims that kind of split out of the tech channel, and that's great. There's a lot of people kind of sharing notes on their sim setups and what works and head tracking and all sorts of stuff. So that's great.
So I look at those very closely because I have a very rudimentary flight sim rig, and I see that, and all I see is, well, that'll take 3 months of flying away if I were to set that same thing. It's probably not that expensive, but that's all I can see. So I just, there's some really nice setups.
Yeah. Some accomplishments. Wes passed his commercial written and took a bonus Part 107 test and passed it while he was there. So
Nice.
I love that. Take your bonus. Now 107 is the drone pilot license.
Unmanned.
Was it commercial?
Yeah.
Unmanned. Yeah. Toby passed 50 hours. Congrats. And Chris C got roped into being on his flying club board. And I can't think of a better person than Chris C. He's
For sure.
very detail oriented, and that's a great spot for him. And speaking of flight sims, that's Chris C, who has a great sim setup.
Very cool.
Well,
Yeah.
Brian, you got some feedback for us.
All right, let's read some feedback. We got 3 here.
Yeah, these are from when you join us on Patreon. There's a survey that pops up, and while you're not required to complete it, it is nice when somebody does respond. So that's where these came from.
Yeah. All right. So from the Patreon surveys, okay. We'll just each do one. Is that cool?
I like it. You go first.
I'll go first. Now, and by the way, so I'm just going to say Andrew L. Andrew L. at the Hershey Bar level. He says, happy to support you guys. I work in quality control for the FAA, so safety is my life. You guys do a great job talking about the things that are important, relevant everyday experiences, and creating a space for that information to be shared. Currently PPL and SEL and 43 years old. Wow. So that's, quality control for the FAA. Wow.
Yeah.
So I would love to know more about what that daily life is,
Yeah.
And then how does it also affect other aspects of your life if that's what you're immersed in? Do you just stand around and look at your kitchen and just go, this cannot stand?
This may be an episode within and of itself. I mean,
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like you just go into like Target and just start looking around like, nope, see, I don't know. So I'm interested to know more about that.
Yeah, me
that's
too.
Really, really, really cool. But thank you so much for that feedback.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to help people share information, connect people, and do our midlife best.
So I got the next one. It's from Brad G. And I really, really like this one. I've been listening for well over a year. Midlife has got me inspired to take flying lessons. I'm about a third of the way. I look forward to it coming out every Monday and thought it's about time I support you guys. It's what's weird for me, and I think we might talk about this in a future episode. So, I'm 1,100 hours. I've been flying for 7 years. But when somebody starts taking lessons, I am all in. I want to live it again, and I can't.
Yeah.
And I want to live vicariously through them. I know that there's struggles, and I know you solo and you do your cross. I absolutely love watching people go down that first part of their path. It's one of my favorite things.
It's so much fun.
Yep.
I noticed a third of the way through, and I'm trying to think how long I felt that I was a third of the way through getting my ticket. Yeah, I think that was about 35 hours that I was a third of the way through. So not the 35-hour mark, but 35 hours. Yeah. I'll grab the comment from Matt M. Matt said, I'm 47, have been flying since 2015. Private instrument based in St. Augustine, Florida. Found the pod last year, binged all of it, and now caught up. Just bought a 182. Looking forward to being part of the community. And we saw Matt in Discord and talked about being in the world's oldest Delta, which is St. Augustine, and some obviously grilling about his 182 and everything about it. I am very curious, as someone who binged through all the episodes, what was learned. And I
want to know how much therapy you're going to need after binging through all those episodes.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I would suppose it's kind of interesting. For other podcasts that I listen to, I find it interesting to do that. Just because you hear the natural progression, of how things get born and continued. And I would imagine, for anybody starting our podcast, they're going to go, wait, who is what?
Right.
And then they'll figure it out. But I've gone back and listened to the early opposing bases episodes and tried to work my way back from there. And it's actually, I was glad to hear them say, please just do it in reverse. And I think that we might say the same thing for ours. So it's not a storyline.
Yeah.
There's not.
It's the opposite of that.
Yeah. There's not cliffhangers, other than just, will we get through this?
Yeah.
But I think going backwards is probably the way. And I think that'll be kind of neat because you can sort of experience the devolution, but yeah, it's cool to do that.
Which way gets worse? I think going back, it gets worse, and going forward, it gets worse. So, either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think it's one of those stories you can read it from back to front or front to back. It's going to come out the same no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily we're not like opposing bases in the sense that we're not 400 episodes in almost or whatever. So just do whatever.
Yeah.
We're just glad you're listening. We just really appreciate everybody.
Amen to that. And I will find it interesting. I watched the episode counts going all the way back, and the very first episode is still by far and away, by a large margin, it is the most popular episode. But it's interesting to see, like, it had 12 listens to, last week, and it's been out for 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So tonight this is going to be a show about nowhere, also known as parking. Kind of our series of what they don't teach you in flight school. And Brian, we had a quick chat about this, but why don't you set us up for this one?
Well, we just thought it threaded nicely into our conversations about our event coming up, which, by the way, do you realize how many days it is to Tango 82?
It's
3 weeks?
16 days?
16 days.
Wow.
It's almost time to start wrongly looking at the weather. So
real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have it marked on my calendar when to start looking at the weather. That's how much I'm looking forward to it.
Since we're sharing, I got out a new field notes notepad and was writing down kind of the major leg mileages on a few of my options. So I was up last night just trying to get that out of my head. I've been planning it over and over again, and I finally just needed to get those written down so I have something to think about. I also got 8 sectionals in the mail today. So because I will carry sectionals in areas of the country that I'm not familiar with.
By the way, I can't wait for the phone call on May 2nd from you when you say, I've arrived in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Oh, good news, bad news. Yeah.
Good news is I'm in Fredericksburg. Bad news.
The wrong one.
I did get on a plane in 1999 for a .com job interview. The airport code was SAN, and I didn't know which airport I was going to. I didn't know if it was San Jose or San Diego. And I moved there for a job. It was San Diego.
Wow.
So it is possible to do something really dumb like that.
Well,
So tonight's episode.
yeah,
Back to
we
that.
just want to have a conversation. So we were talking about Tango 82 and all the kind of parking shenanigans, and it brought up about a lot of things. And like Ben said, we try to be the people that will talk about the everyday aspects of aviation that they're not romantic to talk about, but they are important to talk about. And there are things that you definitely don't get taught. And sometimes just bringing these conversations up will illuminate a few angles or details or helpful little things for others. But I know, and I'm sure that you guys have been the same, you work so hard to get through your training that all you're thinking about is getting your ticket. You get it done. And then there's the big now what? And then you start getting out. You start flying to other airports. And you, lo and behold, all the other airports are kind of different. Even the ones you did the cross country at that you had probably already landed at before with your instructor or whatever. And a lot of times you're not even parking. So you just don't do a lot of parking in training.
Yeah.
And I just think that there's a conversation to be had there. It's not fun, but it can be funny or sometimes tragic.
It can be.
But anyway, so I just thought it'd be great to sort of talk about that just the challenge and schools only teach you so many things. I mean, I never even fueled a plane by myself until after I got my rating. So, I suppose we can think about it in terms of ground operations, but I think I wanted to focus mostly on parking because there's so many idiosyncratic things about it. And so I'll start with the first thing. Now, in the books that we get, they have poorly drawn animations or whatever, cartoons of marshaling signals that if you are bad at spatial relations like I am, I can't even really discern from the picture what gesture they're actually doing. And I don't recall there being anything in any kind of sporties or anything else where they go, hey, this is a whole thing that's going to happen a lot of times when you go to airports. And sometimes the people will be sanctioned people. Sometimes they'll be wearing high vis. Sometimes they'll be driving a golf cart with no sign on it. Sometimes they're driving a golf cart with a sign on it that's on the back and saying, follow me. Sometimes it's just some dude. Sometimes it's just another pilot. Or it could be any number. Like, so, and the language of marshaling is not exactly... I find aspects of it to not be entirely intuitive. And I have made jokes over here at John Toon, even still sometimes, as many times as I've been to whatever, I guess in my time now, I've got, 650, almost 650 hours or whatever it is. And I've been to maybe 110 or 20 airports. I don't know, something like that. I've been to a lot of places so far and all of them are a little different. I still get tripped up on certain, like if you're doing the thing where you are, like sometimes you come behind the flight line and then you come in and park. Sometimes you come in the front of the flight line and then turn in the opposite direction. If they're standing in the middle and they got some planes going this way and some planes going the opposite direction, and then they're doing the sort of the loop around, but you can't really tell if they're saying come in right here, like right next to this plane, or actually, no, I want you to circle all the way around and come back. I need you to come in the opposite direction. There's so many little moments like that never get talked about. And so I just wanted to bring it up. I know that I maybe am particularly neurotic. I definitely have had conversations with the guy at John Toon. This one guy, I'm like, I irritate you every time I come in here because you've always got some weird, different thing that I haven't seen before. It's not just a few things. They've got quite a library of gestures.
There's a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that first, just like the challenge of being signaled, marshaled, led, follow, carts, all of those things.
Well, I've got to hit the comment from Grizzly here in our chat. He said, sometimes the person doing the marshaling doesn't realize a tailwheel pilot can't see over the nose very well.
Yeah.
There's another thing for you. Yeah. Yep. I'm thinking of like, when you see those diagrams about dance moves, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, all these steps. And it's like, what are you telling me to do? Right. If I can point the spinner at your belly, anything else, I'm going to get confused by.
So I want to give a shout out to all the line guys out there that really know it and really do it well.
Yeah.
Because I have actually, we were somewhere, I was at one of the fly-ins I'm sure that we had, where I was kind of fake giving somebody in the group, the turn this way, turn that way. And it's not really that straightforward. I really had to think about, okay, if I raise my right arm up and down, that means I want him to turn to the right a little bit, or is it his left? Or, there's more to it than that. Yeah. So it is important to understand what's been going on. Everybody knows to slow down and when they put the cross to stop it. But, there's a lot more to parking than just following the line guys. I have had to squeeze the beast into some really tight places on ramps where there are non-controlled areas.
Yeah.
Uncontrolled. So, you really need to make sure you know your plane's dimensions. I was at McCollum. I was actually at training at this point in time. And I heard the tower controller really get onto somebody who did not follow a taxi instruction, but he didn't know the capabilities of his airplane. He didn't know if he could do a 180 on that taxi to get out of this other airplane's way. And the controller called him out. He goes, you've got to know the limitations of your airplane or what it can and cannot do. And he wasn't wrong in doing that. Now, I don't know if this other guy was a student pilot and hadn't been taught that, but it made an impression on me very early in my pilot training. So, I've come close and, parking, am I parking next to a low wing or a high wing? I've got a little bit more margin of error if I've got low wings on either side of me because I'm a high wing. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes on with that.
I like the Hershey bar wing for this whole tight space situation. It's it's 6 feet, I suppose, less wingspan than a 172.
Do you know what the width is?
30, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, isn't it 172, 36?
37.
37.
Wow.
Or the Skyline is. I don't know. The 172 maybe.
You've got the the bolt-on turbos on the end of your wings or whatever.
I've got the droopy wingtips. They.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of things like that, or even just the nuances of when you get into a place, really being aware of other people that have not arrived yet. And when you're in some of these tight spaces, be thinking about, can I push back further than this T even suggests that is at the edge of the grass? I can go ahead and hang. I can push my wheels all the way back to the edge here and be very much more clear of, whatever. Because I mean, a lot of these airports, you don't expect it, but citations could be coming in or much larger planes. And so you just got to be always thinking, I've had situations where it's been, all of a sudden you're overrun by a bunch of Apaches coming in, which kind of brings me to one of the other things I wanted to mention is that people, I see a lot of people very slack with gust locks. If it's a nice day, there's not a lot of wind, they park their plane. I'm not going to be here for very long, or I'm just going into town for a minute or whatever. They don't put the gust lock in. I've had many times, and this Apache thing kind of reminded me of this, where I actually had to run out. I parked the car. I parked the plane, went into the FBO just for a minute, and then I saw these Apaches coming in, and I thought, oh no, and I go running back out there. They're not thinking about my plane at all. And they don't have to. Whoever has more guns on the thing it wins the consideration battle. But running out there, and things are flapping, a little bit. It's like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Use gust locks all the time, because it's not just about the weather. It is more about who's going to blast you with their prop, or who's going to, helicopters coming in weird spots, or other things. So that's my little helpful thing, is just be absolutely insanely religious about gust locks. They are your friend.
The way I think about that is, I can see an insurance adjuster looking at my plane turned upside down and looking at me going, why wasn't the gust lock in there? And not that it would invalidate my but that's the obsession that I have, the OCD that I have, is what's the insurance adjuster going to say about this?
Yeah.
So with tight spaces, do you guys shut down, and are you likely to get out your to back up your plane and move it around, or you try to get it in?
Reverse has never worked in my plane, so I have always
no beta
had to.
on the prop. Yeah.
It's, I don't know. There is one toggle switch. I'm not quite sure what it does. But I don't think that's what it is. So just shut down where it needs to go.
Here's my thing. The moment I get cocky and I say I can fit it in between that spot, it's basically the equivalent of a redneck, hold my beer. Hey, y'all watch this. It's just a matter of time before I mess. So, it's an 2,000-pound airplane. You know what? I can push it back, unless you're asking me to push it up a hill. But, I just don't want to mess around with it. Why take the risk would be my point. So I try to stay away. And to that point, Ted, I'm glad you brought that up. When you're taxiing off the runway, you just landed and you're going to the FBO, I'm trying to get the full picture of all the parking, because not only do I want a nice open spot, but if they don't have a run-up pad, where are you going to do your run-up? And of course, you could probably do it at the end of the taxiway before you get on the runway. But, some people will do it on the ramp just as long as there's nobody behind them. Or, I try to take in, and I guess I've learned this from years of, I should have done it this way at this airport, or I should have done it that way. And eventually that stuff starts to sink in.
Yeah.
I also want to speak to the brakes off. There's a lot of chat here going on about brakes off, which is a nice little segue. We can step off of this for a moment just to say that I can't say anything about that, right? It's a surprise, Ted?
Oh, it's not going to say anything. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I'm going to walk back. I didn't say anything. This is live. Okay. So, so brakes off. I have become it's brakes off pretty much always and forever, because you don't know what might be coming up at the airport where they just need to move the plane. And, most parking brakes don't really work in some of these smaller general aviation planes. Mine actually works pretty well. I will use it if I'm just in a place I'm completely by myself in the middle of nowhere, something like that, where I know that there's not even infrastructure around. There's nobody with a tractor. There's nobody with anything. But you got to just always imagine that somebody's going to come and move your plane because they have to for some reason. It could be an emergency. It could be any number of reasons, but they need to move your plane. And if you have brakes on, then that will be bad.
Yeah.
It has happened to us. I was not involved, but my partner did set the parking brake, and that plane got towed, and we had to have a little work done. Now, the company that towed it, helped us out a little bit, but I never set the parking brake either, for the exact same reason.
Did you flat spot your tires?
There was one tire that got a little bit of flat spot, and I think they had to repressurize the brake system.
Yeah.
Which is not really that big of a deal, but I think that's what happened. This happened probably 5 or 6 years ago. And we also actually had one of those brakes off green brakes on
Hard.
red sign that you put up and let people know what's going on.
So I have a single lever brake. So it's not on the pedals, which is actually nice to only have one master cylinder. And it has a valve to keep the hydraulic pressure on it. So that's the parking brake. So it works very well, but you're not supposed to leave it on for overnight or anything like that. Usually if it's on, it's because I've forgotten and left it on. And like when I get home and I park in front of my hangar and I forget and I leave it on, and so I can't push my plane back, I've got to get inside and undo it. And, which again, it's a high wing. It's not that much work, but it's me being dumb. So yeah, I try not to leave the brake on. You get the line guy coming to you and saying, "Hey, are the brakes off on that?" And you're like, oh, "I should have." Yeah.
Well, let me give you another example too of how this kind of funnels into other problems potentially in the realm of parking. By the way, how do you guys feel about the episode that goes nowhere so far?
I like it.
We're still here on planet Earth.
We're still here.
We're still here.
I let's see, it was a couple years ago. I was flying to Knoxville to go to a music festival, and I knew that I'd be there for 4 days. The weather was going to be absolutely perfect for all the time leading up to and the day of the flight. And then the day after, I would have already been there for a day. Major severe thunderstorms forecast. Not looking good at all. And then the weather was going to clear right back out again. And by the time I was done doing what I was doing there, it would be perfect again. I will never forget I've never thanked myself more than in this moment, which was that I had gotten up super early in the morning, and I just thought, I don't know if anybody's going to answer, but I'm going to call ahead and see if they have community hangar space ahead of time so that they can just go ahead and put it in there. I won't have to worry about the plane through these storms and the hail and everything that's coming and 60-mile-an-hour gusts or whatever was going to be happening. And I actually got somebody, and I already arranged it. I'm definitely coming. I'm leaving right now, and got there and then was able to utilize the community hangar space, of which I knew that all the people that did not quite have the same foresight were going to be scrambling for that one community hangar, to try to get out of this storm. And so if I hadn't have done that, then they just would have been, well, the community hangar is full. And then I'm there for a festival where I've, bought tickets and I've got a hotel and, all these things. And then like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not, so I was so glad, pat on my back for just thinking about that ahead of time. And so I just thought that I would share that out, which is you have to be thinking about if you're staying somewhere overnight, much less, definitely once you get into a couple of days, 3 days, 4 days or longer, you have to watch the weather as carefully as if you were flying. You need to be thinking about all of the things and ways that your plane might be affected. And if you leave your parking brake on, and then you're scrambling and trying to call the airport, hey, please, will you drag my plane to a community hangar?
Yeah.
That, you're just going to have compounding issues there. So my recommendation for parking would just be to really honor the weather and really think about the weather as if you're flying all the time and be ahead of what needs you're going to have.
Yeah.
So to take that one step further, you knew you're going to an airport where an event was going on, and it was going to be a really busy airport. To add to that, I'm always surprised. It's happened to me when I've flown into Oshkosh. It's happened to me when I was flying around Augusta a couple of years ago, which was during the Masters Week. Somebody seems like at some point in time when they're flying into Oshkosh, seem to be completely oblivious to the NOTAMs.
Yeah.
And you could tell because the people on the radio are like, what are you doing? And this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we were flying down to Charleston, and it was the first week of April. Masters was going on, and there was a guy in like a Cherokee who was on flight following, said, we're going to go to Daniel Field in Augusta, see if we could get into the Masters. First of all, you can't They're not scalping tickets on the side of the street. But they had slot times. And the controller couldn't make this guy understand, yes, it's a general use public airport, but there are 7,000 airplanes going in and out of it right now. It's busier than Hartsfield. You can't just plop in there when you want to. So if you're a newly minted private pilot and you're going somewhere for an event, make sure you do your research, because a lot of those places will not just let anybody come in all willy-nilly when they literally routed it. We're on an IFR plan and they had to reroute us because they wouldn't even allow us in the airspace for Daniel Field or Augusta Regionals. They wanted you out of the way of everything. And that's, probably a 40 or 50 mile radius that they were clearing people from. So do your homework.
There's a corollary to that, which is, even if you're not going there for the Masters, I'm going to fly into Augusta. I wonder if anything's going on. Let me do a quick Google and figure out. We did that with our last Nashville meetup. It's like, this is the weekend that the marathon is going on. Or the time before that, there was a big football game. It's like, at least be aware of that stuff when you're going in, so you're not surprised, like, wow, why are there so many people here at KOSH in the end of July? Like, be aware, even if you're not headed there for that. So,
but that ties into the parking aspect of it, though, because maybe you're aware of it, maybe you have a slot time, but know that you're going to be parked probably in the grass somewhere. Yeah. And if you don't have tie downs in your plane ready to go, you could, a gust comes up, you could find yourself in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just aghast at the audacity of people that have events that are not aviation related.
Yes.
Marathon?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. At least it wasn't on the runway. Yeah.
It's people running down the street. You see it every day. It's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've run Nashville's marathon.
Yeah.
And it actually was the half, but it was hilly and hot, and I'll never run it again. But I will fly there, though.
Yeah. No.
But
one time, when I was living in New York, and a friend of my dad's was running in the marathon, and they came through my neighborhood in New York, and I went under the rope or whatever, whatever it was. I went out and then ran with him for about a block, and then just dumped off. I can just say now that I've run in the New York City Marathon.
You've technically run a marathon. Yeah.
I ran in the New York City Marathon.
Yeah. I want to hit this comment from Pete, who said, my Sun and Fun booth neighbor said he started carrying a spare set of tie downs after being parked next to people at Osh that had no tie downs, just so he can protect his own plane from them. That's as Ugly Cub says, it's 3D chess. That's thinking ahead. Now, I seem to encounter this more, maybe because I go to really small airports, but is the other running out of space problem, which is, I'm thinking of two airports, 4 Sierra 2 and 1 Lima 8, where it seems like every space on the ramp either has a plane in it or it's implied that it's owned by someone, that there is not a transient spot. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Do you just take any open spot that doesn't have a sign on it? It's at 4 Sierra 2, there's literally 3 spaces in front of the FBO. All the other spaces are on the other side of the runway by the museum. And they'll at the tie downs, would be like cones, right on the tie downs. And it was like, this is obviously somebody uses this. So I never know what to do. I just park there anyway. With 1 Lima 8, which is Southern Utah, you talk to the city and they're like, oh yeah, you take any spot that's open. And you get there, you pull into a spot, somebody comes out and says, oh, that's Brad's spot. So it's like, I don't know, that's really frustrating for me when you get there and it's like, there are 0 spots available. There's no indication what transient parking is supposed to do. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that all of these things should be articulated more by instructors along the way. I think that all of these things should be addressed more in content that the teachers and instructional institutions make. Of course, one size doesn't fit all, and there's a lot of variables in all of this. This can go a lot of. Peter says, "Tough luck, Brad."
Exactly. Yeah.
This can go a lot of different ways, but the thing that I just want, this topic is for you, the person that is just getting out there, and you're landing the airplane and perhaps a crosswind that is right at your personal minimums. But the difference is you're used to your mediocre landings and high crosswinds or whatever you got going on because you haven't quite gotten that dialed in yet. But the two buddies that you have flying with you don't know anything about what that feels like. And so you're taking on their maybe nervousness, and then you land and then you bounce it or something. And, and then you kind of get, a little worked up, and then the next thing you know, you're turning off. And then now you're faced with what is going on here? And what is this, what is this person telling me to do, or all that. And so I just wanted to make sure that we covered this because I think it's super important to just try to glean as much as you can from airports, airport operators, other pilots. Do whatever you can, and then just give yourself some forgiveness. You're going to screw up. You're going to continue to screw up. You're going to continue to not quite understand what the marshaller was telling you. Yeah. You're going to just run into these things. And that is part of what being a midlife pilot is all about, is we are just learning as we go. And many of us are not very experienced. Most of us are probably, if you really I don't know what experienced hours starts at, Ben, but I don't know what that is. It doesn't.
There is no set number of hours. Everybody's going to learn in their own time. But, to add to all that, there is going to be confusion, especially the first time you go to an airport. How many times have you pulled into the airport and you say, "Where is the FBO?" Then all are clear. The other thing that I think is super important for newer pilots to take away is knowing your plane's wingspan, knowing the spatial distances that you have. If you think you're not going to make it, then don't even try. Just, give yourself plenty of room. I've seen it too many times where somebody thought that they can make it. I've seen it 3 times literally where somebody has bumped in. Was there damage? Probably not, but it caused a fair amount of anxiety over the whole problem, the whole situation.
That I try to pay attention to that when somebody is taxiing past to see if they need a wing walker. And generally, people are good about that. If you're stopped in a position for long enough, somebody's going to turn and look your way, and you're going to point to your wing, and they're going to realize that you need help.
It's a great call out.
Something to really help with. That really helps out. Now, when you put your plane on the ramp, now, again, I'm mostly going to uncontrolled airports, so it's all DIY. There was a question earlier about what do you like for straps, which I talked about in the last episode. I am very particular about shock straps. You can buy them on aircraft spruce. They're meant for aviation. They're really good. But when you tie down, what else do you do? If you're just going for lunch, what covers do you put on? If you're going overnight, do you put everything on?
Yeah, for me, if it's a short hour, I'm going to put the gust lock in. I'm going to put shocks down. If it's really hot outside, I might try to cover up the windshield. If it's in the middle of the summer, but outside of that, I don't really do much. If it's overnight, then I shut it down like I'm going away for a week, and I cover everything up. Yeah. But for me, if it's a 2-hour stay, business meetings in South Georgia, I'm not too worried about it.
Oh, I have one thing that I'm religious about that I forgot to mention real quick. I put a pitot cover on and cow plugs in all the time, even if I'm just going somewhere for a couple of hours, because I have seen firsthand people's pitot tubes getting jammed up because of all the dust and debris and bugs and whatever else. So you get blasted by one plane exactly the wrong way. You got stuff in there. And then the cow plug thing is, it's insane to see how fast birds will occupy even a very warm spot. And so critters will come quickly, at least around here. So I actually, it takes 2 seconds extra to do it. And so if I'm just going in for maybe an hour or something, I guess I won't do it. But if I'm really I don't do that just for overnight.
I think we just figured out what happened to the ignition in your airplane.
Oh yeah.
I think there may be some critters got in there and messed some stuff up.
Well, at least there's a reason for it now. I don't have cowl plugs because with water cooled, you don't have the big inlets for air that you would otherwise, and there's a radiator in front of it. The only time I really use my my pitot covers is if I'm overnight on a ramp, if I'm away from home. I don't use them at home. And there's arguments about whether I need to or not, but I don't have much problem with, or there isn't as much problem with bugs here nesting into things. So, but so they're in with my tie down straps, and so when I'm getting my bag of straps out, those are in there, and so that's the excuse to put them on.
Ted's bag o' straps.
Yes. Yeah. Well, anything else?
Not that I can think of. Just want to remind everybody, don't forget about the Big Texas Send, May 2nd through the 4th. Also, leave us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you. And I think that's about it. Gentlemen, anything else?
Oh, we're good. It's been fun.
It has been fun. I have one more, maybe a few more than one, but tonight's Wit and Wisdom, a little aviation themed. Steal someone's wallet, then they are broke for a day. Teach someone to fly, and they will be broke for a lifetime. Signing off, episode 124 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.